Hello everyone and welcome back to Time Less Affairs. I requested my nephew to engage in this activity with me while we were working on the land. On a radiant summer morning, Maria stood amidst the expansive fields of sunflowers. The warm sunlight caressed her skin while a gentle breeze tousled her hair, bringing with it the delicate scent of blossoming flowers. Although it was yet another day of diligent labor on the land to which she had devoted her life, today held a unique significance as she was not by herself. Her young and eager nephew James was there working right beside her. Maria loved the quiet of the countryside, the way the earth smelled after the rain, and the sight of endless green stretching towards the horizon. But what she cherished most was having James by her side, his youthful energy and laughter bringing new life to her otherwise routine days. James had been living with Maria for the past few months ever since he decided to spend his summer break away from the busy city and closer to nature. He admired his aunt's dedication to the land, her hard work, and her gentle heart that never failed to comfort him. As they worked together planting new seeds and nurturing the crops, Maria often caught James stealing glances at her. He would smile shyly and look away, his cheeks turning a soft shade of pink whenever their eyes met. It was a subtle game they played, filled with stolen looks and unspoken words that lingered between them like a sweet, unending melody. Maria couldn't help but notice how much James had grown over the years. He wasn't the little boy who used to visit during holidays anymore. He was now a young man with broad shoulders and kind eyes that held a world of emotions. His presence was comforting, and his eagerness to help her made the long, tiring days on the farm feel lighter. James would often come up with excuses to be close to Maria, whether it was asking her to show him how to properly plant a seed or helping her lift heavy bags of soil. There was an unspoken connection between them, something deeper than just the bond of family, and Maria found herself drawn to James in ways she couldn't quite explain. One afternoon, as they took a break under the shade of an old oak tree, Maria handed James a glass of cool lemonade. They sat side by side, their shoulders touching, feeling the warmth of the summer sun. James watched her, intently admiring the way the sunlight danced on her skin, making her look almost ethereal. He wanted to tell her how beautiful she was, how much he enjoyed every moment spent with her, but the words caught in his throat. Instead, he reached out and brushed a strand of hair away from her face, his fingers lingering just a second too long. Maria felt a rush of warmth spread through her heart beating a little faster at his touch. She looked up at him, her eyes searching his, and for a brief moment the world around them seemed to fade away. As the days passed, their interactions grew more intimate. They would laugh over silly jokes, share stories from their past, and sometimes sit in comfortable silence, simply enjoying each other's company. James loved the way Maria's eyes sparkled when she talked about the farm, and Maria adored the way James listened to her, always attentive and eager to learn. There was a tenderness between them, a closeness that was hard to define yet impossible to ignore. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Maria and James found themselves alone in the barn, finishing up their work. The air was thick with tension, a mixture of unspoken feelings and the quiet hum of the night. James looked at Maria, his gaze intense and filled with emotions he could no longer hide. He moved closer and reached for her hand. Maria's breath hitched as she felt the warmth of his touch, her own emotions swirling inside her like a storm. "Maria," James whispered, his voice soft and trembling, "I've been wanting to tell you something." His words hung in the air heavy, with meaning as he took another step closer, closing the distance between them. Maria's heart raced as she looked into his eyes, seeing the vulnerability and sincerity that mirrored her own feelings. She knew what he was going to say, had felt it in every stolen glance and lingering touch, but hearing it out loud made it all the more real. As James leaned in, Maria could feel the electricity between them, a magnetic pull that drew them closer together. She closed her eyes, savoring the moment, the anticipation, and the undeniable connection that had been building between them. Just as their lips were about to meet, a soft, rustling sound from outside broke the spell, pulling them back to reality. They stepped back, breathing heavily, their emotions still hanging in the air like a delicate thread. They exchanged a look, a silent promise of what was to come, knowing that whatever happened next would change everything from that moment on. Their days on the farm took on a new kind of magic. Every touch, every glance, every shared moment felt charged with an unspoken desire. Maria and James continued to work side by side, their bond growing stronger with each passing day, each stolen moment bringing them closer together. They didn't need to say much, their hearts spoke. The words their lips couldn't, weaving a story of love that was as boundless as the fields they tended to. Each day they worked in rhythm, the sound of their laughter mingling with the gentle rustle of the cornstalks and the distant chirping of birds. Maria glanced at James, his brow furrowed in concentration as he tilled the earth, There was something undeniably captivating about him, the way he poured his heart into everything he did. She couldn't help but admire the strength in his hands and the determination in his eyes. "Aye," he said, suddenly breaking her reverie. "Do you remember the first time we planted those sunflowers?" A smile spread across Maria's face. "How could I forget? You insisted on planting them in a perfect line, and I just wanted to let them grow wild." James chuckled a sound that sent butterflies fluttering in her stomach. "Well, they turned out beautifully, didn't they? Just like this." He gestured around them, encompassing the vibrant life of the farm. "Yeah, but they wouldn't have without you," Maria replied, her voice softening. The sincerity in her words hung in the air, and she felt the heat rise in her cheeks as the sun began to dip lower in the sky, painting everything in hues of orange and pink. James set down his tools. He turned to Maria, his expression serious yet gentle. "I meant what I said before. I've been wanting to tell you something. I think I'm falling for you." Maria's breath caught in her throat, the world around them fading into a blur. The weight of his confession filled her with warmth. "I feel the same way," she admitted, her heart pounding. "I didn't know how to say it, but I felt it for so long." At that moment, the tension of unspoken words dissolved, leaving only the purity of their feelings. James stepped closer, his eyes locked onto hers, and she felt herself leaning in, drawn by an invisible thread of connection. Their lips met in a tender kiss, the taste of earth and summer mingling in the air between them. That's how everything started between James and Maria. They crossed every limit. That kiss was the beginning, and then near those sunflowers was this tree. James' kisses were so intense that he was gently pushing Maria against the tree, moving his hands on Maria's body, exploring each and every inch. And he didn't want to slow down as they pulled away, breathless and giddy. Maria looked at him and saw not just a partner in work, but a companion for life. From that day forward, everything changed. They carved out moments for each other amid the business of farm life. Late evenings were spent watching the stars emerge, tangled in blankets and laughter, sharing dreams of what lay ahead. Mornings began with shared coffee, their fingers brushing against each other as they passed the steaming mugs. Every task became an opportunity for connection. A shared joke while weeding the vegetable patch, playful banter while fixing the fence, or quiet moments under the shade of the old oak tree where time seemed to stand still. With each passing day, they built not just a life together on the farm, but a love that felt as enduring as the land they cultivated. And as summer turned into fall, the world around them transformed, just as their hearts had blooming into a love story that was beautifully, irrevocably their own. Thank you for watching. For more updates, click subscribe button. Time Less Affairs.